days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, Alex, and I say this every time now, but the 49ers are never without news. It seems like something is always happening in Santa Clara. There's some sort of news that we need to go over, whether it's a roster move, it's somebody not practicing, it's a signing, a move, some comments by Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch. It just seems like it never fails. There's something new with the 49ers. Luckily, we have daily content every day right here at 11 a.m. So you can come check it out and get updated on what's going on in San Francisco, Santa Clara. Let's not get into that thing. No.
Yay area, as they call it, as they've been saying.
Right.
Look, you're not wrong. And by the way, can I just point out that was an incredible plug for the daily content, man. You are. If you keep that up, man, I'm gonna have nothing left to talk about. I'm really not gonna. But look, this is accurate. There's a lot of things happening, and that's the best part about getting closer and closer to season.
Yeah.
Is there's gonna be nothing but nonstop coverage 49ers, which means you're gonna get to be here all day, doing everything with the Cutback crew and hearing about this team and updates about this team. So let's get into it. And before we do, don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button as well. Join the Cutback crew today. And let's start with the big news. Obviously, the Niners freeing up almost over $7 million worth of cap space by restructuring Jimmy Ward's contract. You got the details on this, I believe, correct?
Yeah, they had it. It's converted $7.8 million to a bonus.
Okay.
So he's going to get it up front, and then it's going to do some stuff to the back end of that contract, where it's a lot more is going to be guaranteed. And then they're going. And so what that did was take. That and it created $5.85 million in salary cap space
This season, correct?
This season,
yes.
From Jimmy Ward's move, and that ultimately gives the 49ers about $7.3 million in cap space, according to Field Yates. He's the one that did the numbers on this. So there is a little bit, of course, different numbers between what he has and over the cap has. Somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million, there's a difference. But we're going to go with what Field Yates said on this. He's the one that was reporting that this deal was done. So the 49ers making a move. They had to have their salary cap in order. They had to be under it the other day, Wednesday, Thursday. They had to get it done. So they went ahead and took care of business, and they do this. And the reason that this is significant, freeing up this money, and we have talked about it was either going to be Jimmy Ward or Laken Tomlinson. Somebody was going to have to restructure, is you need to have money to be able to operate during the season, whether that is signing players, whether that making moves, ultimately picking up somebody in a trade. You want to have money to be able to operate, and you want to have over $5 million to do it. This was the easiest, best avenue for them to be able to do it. And by doing this, now they are capable of doing anything they need to do during the season. Just like they did in 2019 where they were able to bring in Emmanuel Sanders. If you feel like you are one player away at a certain position, or you suffer an injury at a position, and you have the ability to reach out and pick up somebody else with a prorated salary, and that you can use them this season, you can go ahead and do that now. So once again, making sure that Parag and John Lynch are taking care of business, making sure they have the money to go do what they need to do, because they're trying to win a Super Bowl.
Accurate. They're trying to win a Super Bowl, and with this roster and with the team that they have in place, you have to get it done. You have to try and make those moves and give yourself that leeway to operate during the season and make the moves if you need to make them, if you feel you're a piece away. Over the cap had them listed at $926,628. It ends up being that they were sitting at actually about $1.45 million now, and the move helps them get under that 182.5. So this is great news for the 49ers. This is great news for this team. And tip your hat to Jimmy Ward for restructuring and working with the team to make sure that we can get ourselves not only under the cap, but make sure he still gets paid and give us the wiggle room needed to still make a move to keep this team in contention should something else happen or should something else be going on. Because, Ant, there are a lot of player status updates that we got to get to. Some names that are not trending in the right direction and some names that are trending in the correct direction. Let's start with the bad. Let's get the bad out of the way. Javon Kinlaw, Emmanuel Mosley, trending down. It's not trending in the correct direction for them to be able to play this weekend. They're going from essentially questionable to doubtful now. And I'm already seeing the Javon Kinlaw. The Niners knew Javon Kinlaw had knee tendonitis issues coming out of college. They knew this, and they still decided to take him where they take him. I cannot believe they did this. We passed up on CeeDee Lamb. And listed off a bunch of other names as well of guys that we passed up on instead of going the route that we actually ended up going with. Pretty premature in my eyes, and I'm not overly concerned with this. This will only be a concern to me if he's going to end up going to IR, which as of right now, Shanahan and Lynch have both stated that is not the plan. It is not that bad at the moment.
They have had an idea of how to handle this. John Lynch talked about this on KMBR, where they could do certain things to quiet it down. When something happened, they took preventative measures. It would quiet down, and then he was able to play. Unfortunately, what has happened is he's not able to quiet it down this time. So he came back. We were optimistic. He came back for limited practice, like, oh, Javon Kinlaw is going to work back in. He's going to be fine. And then he misses practice, so we know he's not fine. Now, the one thing I'll say about that, about the whole injury, the tendonitis thing is, John Lynch says that this is an injury that happened against the Dallas Cowboys. You don't know what he's going to do against the Dallas Cowboys when you draft him. So that is a little far-fetched if you're going that angle. But I will say this, is that they know what they were getting, yes, but you have risk with every single player. What you're looking at is the possibilities of what they can do. You're not going to hit on all these guys. But when you do hit, you want to hit it out of the park. They have done that consistently in some rounds. The first-round picks have been overanalyzed and overhyped. You can't expect everyone that comes out of the first round to be a blue chipper. That just doesn't happen in the NFL. The likelihood of hitting every single one of your first round picks is not good. There's circumstances that go into it. So number one, let's let Kinlaw play, because I thought he played very well last year as a rookie. I don't know why all of a sudden he's being considered a bust. I think we just need to let this guy happen. Yeah, are we disappointed that he's going to miss? Yes. But what did the 49ers do during the offseason? Insulate themselves in case something like this happens. So you have ramifications from these guys not playing. But you also have the fact that you have good backups, whether that is Kevin Givens or it is Hurd. They have guys that they're going to be able to rotate in. Not to mention you have edge pass rushers that you can play on the inside. We talked about the depth on the interior. They also have depth on the practice squad. They can elevate somebody and allow them to play. So you could see Darion Daniels up with the team this week. We'll see what happens overall. But the 49ers are ready to go. They're ready for these situations. They know what they're going to be. But you're just going to see more Kevin Givens if you see less Kinlaw.
That's true. It's just more Kevin Givens.
Yeah.
That's what's going to end up being, and that's A-okay. I mean, that's not the end of the world. The reason why they kept the 12 defensive linemen that they kept, right? Well, technically 11, and you're assuming Jordan Willis is the 12th. But the reason why you keep all those guys is for this exact reason. If you got a guy who goes down or a guy who isn't able to go and isn't able to operate, not the end of the world. Really isn't. You have a nice rotation of guys, a plethora of names that you can rotate in that can do a lot of similar things and can all build off of each other's performances, so that the group picks up the one guy. We're going to get Kinlaw back at some point in time, healthy, ready to go. And when we do, the gold rush is going to be better than ever, and there'll be less things to worry about. The Emmanuel Mosley thing is the thing that's a little concerning, just because there's less depth at that position than there is this D-line group and this D-line core. But you made the move for Josh Norman. Diamador Lenore has improved. Dante Johnson on the practice squad can be called up if you absolutely need him to. So the Niners have done enough, and now you free up the cap space, right? So if this continues to trend in the wrong direction, if this continues to go down this path where Mosley isn't healthy, Norman goes out there, gets hurt, or isn't doing well, isn't performing, Diamador Lenore just can't handle it. Dante Johnson isn't a long-term solution. You've now bought yourself time, and you've given yourself the cap space to potentially go make a move if you absolutely have to.
Yeah, and before I go to the cornerback position, the one thing I want to say about the line also is everyone's been clamoring for Eric Armstead to play inside. You might get your wish. If Kinlaw's not playing in this football game, which I know is trending that he's not, you'll get more snaps at Armstead on the interior. If you get more snaps of Armstead on the interior, that could be good for our pass rush. So early on, you'll see, a nice grouping of DJ Jones and Zach Kerr, get the run stop, that vertical run game that the Detroit's going to want to do. Mm-hmm. And then you get Armstead on these obvious pass downs, which we want anyways. Yep. As far as we get into the secondary, you're right. You bring up a good point about the cap space. Is you always have Sherm in the back pocket, right? Sherm is out there. At some point, Sherm's going to want to come back. Maybe the 49ers have some sort of a conversation with him and say, if this happens, we're going to need you. So there is still opportunities for the 49ers to make moves, but it comes down to, I still think that we're going to get some sort of a mixed match effort from Diamador Lenore and from Norman. I think because they need to ease Norman back into getting into playing shape. He's not ready to go full speed. If he was, I think he would be the guy starting opposite of Jason Verrett without Emmanuel Mosley in. But because they have Diamador Lenore, who they think they feel comfortable with, they'll see the young guy get some snaps. But in key situations, you're going to want somebody that's a veteran that has a lot of ability and able to read concepts at a high level out there. The one thing we got going for us, the receiving core for Detroit is not exactly the best in the NFL. A lot of speed. I disagree with anyone that thinks Amon-Ra St. Brown is fast, though. I've watched him play a lot of games at USC. He's got decent speed, but he's not one of those burners. Williams is a burner. He can get down the field. Some of the other guys they have on the team are burners, but you're going to be in a lot of hurt. I think they're going to be in a lot of pain because these guys ain't going to have to cover very long because this offensive line is going to be in a world of hurt for Detroit, and the defensive line is going to get after them. Absolutely.
And speaking of that aspect, right? Taylor Decker now trending down as well as a guy for them.
I believe out.
It's officially out now. Okay, so if it's officially out, more than just trending down, the whole O-line play for Detroit is trending down. And if you watched yesterday our discussion with our Lions insider Matt Burgos, he talked about how he believed this offensive line was at the very least top 10 in the league. Took us both a little bit by surprise because we're not in that same boat, but we had heard that sentiment being put out there. Matt kind of echoes that sentiment. Okay, great. But with Decker now not being in the game, you go from top 10 to very, very thin. He talked about potentially them moving one of their interior guards who used to play tackle. If Decker can't go, moving him out to potentially right tackle and moving Sewell over to left tackle and then rolling at the guard position with your backup since there was a little more depth at the guard position. It looks like that may be the route that they're going because Sewell taking some reps at left tackle in practice. So again, while there are some things trending not great for the 49ers and certain players, the Detroit Lions, the biggest thing coming into this game is trying to win the trench battle. Jay and the Bay talked about that during his show. We talked about that a little bit with Matt. We've been saying that since our previous show. Us being able to win that trench battle, the front seven, the front four being able to do what they need to do against this O-line of the Detroit Lions, it's important. Well, now, a little less resistance, and yes, you don't have Kinlaw, but they're going to be missing a piece as well, and now the pressure is going to fall on a guy who hasn't been playing tackle for them up at the Detroit Lions, and Sewell now having to go over and potentially anchor down that blind side of his quarterback.
The offensive line problems for Detroit afford the 49ers the opportunity to rest someone like Javon Kinlaw. I don't think for 1 second that they look at Detroit and don't see these opportunities and think, you know what, we can win without Emmanuel Mosley. We can win without Javon Kinlaw. Let's go ahead and make sure these guys are healthy for the long run. We can win this football game with the guys that we have. And I think that's what they're doing. I think they're making a effort to just say, you know what, we're going to rest these guys and make sure we're ready to go in the future. They're weighing risk and reward. They don't need to play these guys in this game. They're going to make those decisions. The Decker injury is huge because now you're going to have a rookie in Penei Sewell playing left tackle. Yeah, he's more comfortable playing left tackle than right because he did it at Oregon, but he wasn't playing against Nick Bosa. He wasn't playing against D Ford. He wasn't playing against Armstead. These guys are going to go out there and they're going to be running waves at him, from the outside with Ebucom and everybody. All the guys that they have that they can use, Arden Key with his length, and each one of them has a certain skill set that is different from the other. Each one of them can beat you with speed or with power. He's not going to be able to figure out exactly how to play each guy. This is not Trent Williams by any means yet. He's got a lot of development to do, and I think what it does too is put an onus on the interior part of that offensive line to win in the run game, because when we talked to Matt, he talked about that's what Detroit wants to do. They want to win up the middle. They want to move you off the spot and try to limit the amount of possessions the opposing team gets while using the clock. You're not going to be able to do that as much because you're not going to have the guys inside to do that. Once you start moving interior linemen to the outside, you're obviously not as good. And we talked about this with them too. The offensive line depth for Detroit, not very good. The starters, there's a little bit of question whether they're that good or not. I know Vish has them top 5. Matt has them top 10. I think they're top 15. And now with this, for sure, they're definitely not top 10.
They're
not without Decker. So they do have a good center, but now with your movement on the interior offensive line, I expect the 49ers to be able to stop the run early, which means third and longs. Bad situations for Goff. He's not going to be able to get a play action situation. He's going to have to do straight drops, which also means Penei Sewell's in a world of hurt. They're trying to move the pocket this year. It's not going to be as successful either because we have the edge guys to get out there and get after him. It's not going to be poor Kerry Hyder chasing from behind and just doesn't have enough speed. Now you got 4-5 Samson Ebucom coming at you, or Nick Bosa. It's a different world this year in 49ers land.
It's a different world than it was back in 2020, folks, and that's
so long ago.
So it seems like it was forever ago. And speaking of things that are trending up, Stream Elements trending up. The chat functionality working yet again. Thank you for that, Stream Elements. We appreciate you having it ready now.
Welcome back.
We appreciate that. But actually, the big trending up news, I guess, for the 49ers would be Trey Lance trending towards playing this weekend. John Lynch says the youngster, the young man, he looks like he's going to be good to go. We had talked about this a little bit in one of our practice updates, and we got some feedback on Facebook from a couple different people who were like, Jimmy is the starter, Trey's not there. Why are you even talking about this? I can't believe you guys are even pushing this out there. And it's like, oh, you haven't been here. You must not have watched a lot of our content before. It's called the Shanahan plan. Both guys are going to be rotating in and out. Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo is the starter, but Trey Lance is going to be getting plenty of run, plenty of reps, plenty of opportunities in the game as well. Jimmy's going to be the go-to. Trey's going to clean up at times. And depending, right, situationally, game by game, things of that nature, you're going to have both of those guys flopping in and out. Some games where Trey may play a little bit more than one may expect. Some games where it's heavy Jimmy and maybe less Trey. But good news, you don't have to worry about just Jimmy this weekend or, Trey not being able to do anything. Trey is good. It looks like he's going to be good to go, which means the Shanahan plan can be in full effect in week 1, and all the things that we've been hoping to see out of this offense, we potentially get to see, minus Jalen Hurd being on the field.
Yeah, and finally we'll get some answers, to the questions, because I think a lot of people are still questioning this, whether this 2-quarterback system can work. We have less, I guess, hangups on it, less problems with it. We think it can work because we've seen kind of the fruits of the labor, from being out there at practice to watching what they are doing there and the way they're moving them in and out, to the fact that we understand that as long as you have a system in place that has these plays in it, it doesn't matter what quarterback's in, you can operate the system. And they've done a very good job of making sure that the offensive line and the skilled players understand cadence, because a lot of times when you change quarterbacks, cadence changes a little bit. They've figured all the cadence things out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be hard for Detroit to figure out what the 49ers are going to try to do from play to play, from drive to drive. And just with everything, when you see personnel groupings, normally you're saying, okay, this is the game plan. These, in this type of formation and play, we're going to have these guys in, and this. Now it's a quarterback as well that flops. That's the only difference. 49ers are just taking it to another level. They've added an extra dimension to their offense that now teams have to prepare for. And we've talked about this in length. As long as you're preparing for it in practice, you're not preparing for other things. And when you give people so much to prepare for, and as an offensive coordinator, I've done this in the past. Coaches tell us, I've had so much to prepare for. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to end. And it really just got overwhelming. And what they didn't know was the whole time, most of it was just window dressing, and you're really running the same core things. You're just making it look a little bit different. And that's what Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel do a lot. Now, the difference between them and what everyone else does is from game to game, the whole thing changes. The whole game plan changes. What they execute. They might go into a game in outside zone this week, gap the next week. They do whatever they have to do to be successful against the team they're going to play. They adapt. They improvise. They are pretty much the MacGyver of the NFL. They get out there and handle it, and it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see how they attack Detroit and how Detroit tries to stop the 49ers Shanahan plan overall. There's a lot of good storylines in this game, and I can't wait to talk about it afterwards either.
Oh, that's going to be the fun part, is being able to sit down afterwards, dissect this thing, look at it, talk about it, have fun with it, really dive into it and analyze it. And I know that's one of the things I'm most excited about. I know that's one of the things you're most excited about. And as a fan base, we should all be really excited about these things and what this team does and how Kyle Shanahan is able to put together this offensive scheme and plan of attack that he is going to be doing all season long. And it's going to, like you said, vary. It was very funny. We didn't get to watch the Thursday Night Football game. I did go home and watch the condensed version. Mm-hmm. My goodness gracious, Mike McCarthy is a one-trick pony. My gosh, you have an offensive line that is supposed to be one of the better run-blocking O-lines in the league. You don't hand the ball off to Zeke, and when you do, everything is up the gut. The 2 or 3 times that they attempt to run outside, they get big gains, and they don't ever do it outside of those 2 or 3 attempts. It was absolutely mind-boggling to me watching a team that's supposed to have all these weapons and firepowers be that one-dimensional in a game where they didn't have to be that one-dimensional. Also, trying to run up the middle against Vita Vea, who's dominating your center for 3/4 of the game. I don't know what's going on there, but it made me feel very, very happy of who is in charge here in San Francisco, because we could have somebody out there who has no clue how to utilize the weapons that we have on this team and putting us in positions where we're extremely one-dimensional, extremely predictable offensively. Kyle Shanahan, thank you. Thank you for everything you do for this organization and this offense.
Yeah, we've been blessed to have Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and just the things that they've been able to do for this organization. Mm-hmm. And on the field, I mean, Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel have been scheming it up for a couple of years now. And that run game has been special, and it's going to be special again. And we're going to get to see that on full display. The different things that they can do and the different elements they've expanded even more because they have added extra running backs with different skill sets. Every time you add another piece, you added something else that you can do in your offense. And they've done a good job of taking advantage of that. Whether it's Raheem Mostert beating you on the outside or Trey Sermon beating you on the inside, they've made it so they can do anything they want at any time. And that is what is the stress of the Kyle Shanahan 49ers offense, is now that everything they can do everything. They can beat you down the field vertically. They can run the read option. They can beat you over the middle. They can beat you in the quick game. There's just too many options now for any other team to figure out, which means way too much time practicing and trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen when in all reality, the 49ers have it completely condensed into a certain game plan of what works against Detroit's defense and their personnel. And they only have to execute those plays. So I'm curious what they come up with. I'm curious who's the featured guy, because with Kyle, it could be Juszczyk this week, Kittle next week, Deebo Samuel. I do think we're going to get a variety of different guys. I won't be surprised if a bunch of different guys don't score touchdowns in this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance pull triggers on touchdowns. I think that both of them are going to get in the act early and often. And I think they're about to put the fear of God into the NFL.
Do it. Just
do it.
Freaking do it.
Do you think people are ever going to be able to wrap their heads around the fact that it's going to be a dual quarterback system for I'm not going to say the entirety of the season, because we don't know what can happen injury-wise or whatever. But, it seems to me that people still want there to be a choice, or a decision to be made. Every talking head, every other fan base that looks at San Francisco. I mean, I've been in multiple different fantasy leagues now too, where people are taking Trey Lance and not touching Jimmy Garoppolo, and then asking me, why you're a 49, you have a podcast. Why wouldn't you guys talk about the Niners all the time? Why aren't you just going with Trey Lance? He's going to eventually be the starter. And it's like, no, I'm not in that boat. We're not in the same boat as some of our own fan base and as the other fan bases looking in at the 49ers. Barring an injury to one of these guys or one of their play being horrendous, I mean, going out there and making nothing but bad decisions and costing the team multiple games, this 2-quarterback system is going to be what it is this year. Both guys do things differently. Both of their weaknesses are the other strengths. I mean, there's too many positive things to not try and find a way to get them both on the football field. I just can't. I can't, like you said, unless something happens. This is what it's going to be. This is the direction I feel it's going to go. I think NFL coaches understand this. I think they understand that Kyle Shanahan's serious about this 2-quarterback system. I think that's why Dan Campbell talked about it. That's why they're prepping for it, right? But everyone else, fans, non-coach personnel, right, who talk about the league, look at the league, whatever it may be, they can't fathom it. And they can't fathom it because it's never been attempted before. It's never been done to this level. It's not a running quarterback in Trey and Jimmy being a pocket passer. It's 2 quarterbacks operating the same system. You could have Jimmy come in one play and do A, and then Trey come in and then do the exact same play on the next play. And there would be no tip-off because you can put an entirely new personnel grouping in there with them, and it's the same exact thing. No one's going to be able to prepare or understand that until they fully see it on display and see how unpredictable and unstoppable it could be if it's executed at a high level. Yeah, and I think John Lynch's comments on KNBR keep it kind of clear of what it is. He talked about the fact that you stack them on top of each other and you have one 12-foot quarterback. I mean, nobody has a 12-foot quarterback in the NFL.
Sure.
It's an interesting thought process and a way to look at it. I think that, I think they're going to execute this and they're going to try it because it gives them an advantage every single week schematically that the other team, has to prepare for everything and you don't have to prepare for that much. So it does make it a little bit easier for you. It makes all the reads more defined. It makes personnel groupings a little bit easier. It makes your offense a lot more fun and enjoyable. I think once people start seeing it, they're going to really enjoy it. But I think they are going to clamor for Trey Lance all throughout the year. And I think there are three things that could happen to make there be a decision. You brought up the injuries, so that's number one. I think the second one is Trey plays absolutely wonderful and just takes the job. I think that is another situation.
So for that second point, is it one game over the course of many games?
It's like he's playing like lights out for 3 games in a row.
Okay.
Or every time he's in there, he's executing on every single thing he does.
Hitting on his throws.
And you see he's got complete control of the offense now where he can do the things that Jimmy Garoppolo does very well. He does them to that level. If that was to happen and he's able to elevate his game where he's operating the quick game, he's operating over the middle, he's operating the offense, getting in and out, canning plays, doing what he needs to do, then that could be a situation where he takes over. And then I think the third reason would be that the team just struggles, right? Not so much one of the quarterbacks struggles, but all of a sudden you're looking up and it's, you're 2-4 or you're 3-3, and a situation where it's like, you know what? I'm going to go with the kid. I'm going to see what he's got. We need to try to make something out of this, out of this thing. He can create when the play breaks down. Maybe the offensive line is struggling. Those are situations where I think it could ultimately turn to Trey. I'm not foreseeing those because I think both of them are going to go out and execute. So I actually believe the most realistical thing would be that at some point Trey Lance just becomes so good that you have to have him on the field all the time. But I honestly don't think that happens this year. I think it does happen in 2022. Absolutely. I just want to leave it open because I can see those opportunities. And I'm one of those people that actually will wait, look, and I'm not going to say this is dead set how it's going to be. Because I think even Kyle Shanahan doesn't think this is dead set how it's going to be. He has a plan. He knows where he wants to give it that plan. He knows where – I think he has an idea of when Trey should take over and what they do with Jimmy. But Trey has to meet all those requirements to get there. He's not just going to give it to him without him passing all the tests. And part of it is him playing a NFL snap, and which he hasn't done in the regular season yet. But he's going to get to do that against Detroit.
Yes, he is, and that's the good news because that's what we wanted to see. That's what we wanted to hear, and we're going to get it. We're going to get that. Practice squad news, though, as well. Niners not just sitting pat there as well. Still making moves, making practice squad moves. Definitely not $1 million moves, but practice squad moves.
$250,000 moves,
$250,000 moves. So safety Kai Nacua gets re-signed and put on the practice squad.
So he's cheaper. He's like $150,000.
Yeah, and then they release linebacker Rashad Smith. So they make that move there. And then there was also talks about Jalen Hurd today. John Lynch talking about him a little bit as well. And basically just discussing that while the setback with Jalen Hurd is disappointing and it's frustrating, obviously, they're not wavering. They're not wavering on their support for Jalen Hurd. They were very well aware of what's happening and why it's happening. Like what is causing this or what is the reasoning behind what has happened to him. They know it's not Jalen's fault. They're not holding that against him. And they also... you don't come out in vocal support for a guy like this unless you feel he's done everything possible to get himself healthy and get himself right and get himself where he needs to be, and it just hasn't gone his way.
They're showing extreme patience with Jalen Hurd. They're being patient even now. They haven't put him on the IR. They're just waiting. They're letting this play out. They're really hoping that this knee is going to calm down. They may even have some idea of when it is going to calm down. The medical might have figured something out. Maybe Jalen is, got an idea of how this is going to work. I don't know. The one thing I will say is I do enjoy the fact that they're being completely patient and waiting because a lot of teams and a lot of organizations would give up on someone. But he brings up the Jason Verrett situation where they brought in Jason Verrett and Jason Verrett didn't pan out. I remember he got burned deep in the game when he shouldn't have been out there. He wasn't healthy, but he was trying to gut it out because he wanted to prove that he could still play NFL football. And everyone said he's washed. He's done. It's over. And we know that they were patient with him, and last year started to pay dividends. Even at the beginning of the year, once again, what happened to Jason Verrett last year? He missed the first game because he had hamstring tightness and stuff. They needed to make sure they were taking care of him. Jalen Hurd's a similar story, right? He's had the injuries. He's overcoming them. Now, the only difference between Jason Verrett and Jalen Hurd, because we talked about this off air, is the fact that Jason Verrett proved he could do something in the NFL already. So people know there's something you can fall back on. This is who Jason Verrett was, so we know what he can be. What Jalen Hurd is completely just projection. He has not proven anything in the NFL.
Correct.
So everything we talk about is just potential. And whenever you talk about potential, people are willing to give up on potential. They do it on a daily basis. Sometimes you just give up. It's like, it's not worth it. And I understand where people are coming from with that. With Jalen Hurd, it's like at some point you need him to produce. He does have to produce this year. When is that going to be? We don't know. Hopefully this knee quiets down and he can play here pretty soon. If it doesn't, they're going to stretch this out a little bit until they need that position, and then they'll put him on the short-term IR and give him even more time and make somebody like Travis Benjamin an active roster spot.
Yep, that's what's going to end up happening, and it's unfortunate, and I really hope that this doesn't linger. This isn't a long-lasting sort of thing.
I'm going to be in the corner wearing my Jalen Hurd jersey by myself.
I'll get one with you. We'll do it together.
By myself. Yeah.
Don't want to be, but it's fine.
Fudgehead will be happy with the singing.
He's going to hate it. It's fine. It's not, It's because he's an artist himself, right? Yeah. He's a singer, and he hears this voice, and he's like, I don't know what happened. You're not my son. It is what it is. Look, I'm hoping Jalen Hurd can get back and get going. Let's just hope that everything continues to trend in a better direction. It can't. Well, that's not true. It could trend.
It could trend worse. Yeah.
It could trend worse. It can't get any worse though than it's already gotten through the first 3 years for Jalen Hurd in terms of just not being able to be healthy because he hasn't literally been able to even make a roster. So let's just hope it goes the right direction. Good news. We get Trey Lance going. Good news, right? We get Dre Greenlaw back. He's looking good. Verrett looking good as well. So this team is overall going in the right direction. The Niners making some moves as well. They restructure. They free up some cap space. Let us know about everything that happened throughout today. All the news that broke. Are you excited? Are you worried? is it over now? We're all screwed? We missed on Kinlaw. This is, the plan is blowing up in our faces, or it's going to be A-okay. It's fine. It's still stupidly early in the season, and there's no reason to reach for that panic button just yet. Let us know down there in the comment section, and while you're commenting away, don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't already, head over to Patreon as well, where you can get weekly videos, fantasy football updates, cutback league stuff, and the Madden Football League, Cutback Football League on Madden 2022 coming soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting areas of 49ers football, and you can see them all covered, whether it's right here on YouTube or over on Patreon. Or if you listen on traditional platforms, you can do that as well. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Pods, everywhere you listen to your podcasts, pretty much. And I think that there's a lot of fun conversations. The 49ers, I think, are as healthy as I would expect them to be on opening day. Especially after last year. I think a lot of people are just gun shy about what happened, and I understand it completely. Last year, we were in complete shell shock once we got through week 2. It was like, wow, what even can we do at this point?
Wait, what roster is this?
Yeah, I think the good news is we're talking about Emmanuel Mosley being hurt, and possibility of coming back soon. Javon Kinlaw being hurt, possibility of coming back soon. Not season-ending stuff. So we're sitting at least a little bit better than last year. I'm going to go ahead and not say more than that. I don't want to go too far. I'm pumping the brakes on the outlook, but I am optimistic for the 49ers, and I do like that this season sets up very nice with Detroit and Philly, where the 49ers can kind of get their footing, get going, and hopefully once they get locked into Green Bay, that first home opener, they're playing 2-0, and they've went ahead and got completely healthy. So they can give Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay the best and all that they can handle, and a David Bakhtiari-less Green Bay Packers offensive line is what I'm looking for. 49ers don't have to exactly go against the best offensive lines over the first 3 weeks.
That's true. They don't have to. If you talk to other fan bases, beat writers, the Niners start 0-6 this year. They all have picked their own teams over San Francisco. So the sleeping.
I saw Seattle finishing 0-8 according to ESPN too. So
I did see that.
I
don't actually see that happening.
No.
But if you talk to the beat writers for other teams, the 49ers are overrated. That's how they feel. The Niners are going to hear that sentiment. That's some locker room feeder for your behind. We're coming for you, Detroit. We'll see you on Sunday, and Cutback Crew, we'll see you for the reaction show. Until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.